All right, we're trying to put it together. We still getting used to this software a little bit. I am trying to figure this out. Give me a second. I'm looking at something. I want to try to give this information to Instagram. So I'm trying to see how to do it. I think I got it figured out. Let me play some audio. Shout out to Uncle Andy in the building. I see Roby in the building. Let me go ahead and start this bad boy off because I don't have a lot of time. So let's start this bad boy off. American Link said, gonna have to go down a deeper hole for this topic. Yeah, pause. We did. That's a crazy analogy, but you are absolutely correct. And I am going down that path today. And to prove it, I will present something to you that you have never heard before. And if you have, you will explain it to me. So let me tell you what this term is called. Because the first time you hear this term, it is from me, Jamel Saladin. Nobody else has said this term. The term is the paradox of 1492. That's the term. Now, before we even start, it's asking me to sign in to my own chat. So let's just do that. The paradox of 1492, and you are absolutely correct. It takes a little bit more than what we've been repeating. We have to not do that. We just want to sign into the chat before we get started here. Cool. I'm all signed in there. And let me just do one more thing before I start talking and teaching. I apologize, but I just want to do one more thing, which is go ahead and make sure that this thing looks presentable. I can't see what's going on over there. Okay. Let's bring that in a little bit tighter. A little bit tighter. All right, that's gonna have to be it right there. That's gonna have to be it right there. That being said, let's go ahead and start the show. Let's go ahead and start the show. Oh, I keep reshaping the wrong thing. My fault. This is what I need to reshape. I have to reshape that because I have notes. Alright, I think that's the best we're going to get right there. For some reason. Welcome to my show, which is based off of YouTube. If you're looking for this show or any... Let's go ahead and record this too. There we go. If you're looking for this show later on in your life, it won't... I'm pretty sure Instagram won't save it. So you're going to have to come over to my YouTube channel and see it from over there. And a lot of times I do present information that people are looking for that information later on. Now, I want to present something to you. It's called the Paradox of 1492. You've never heard this before. You've never heard this before because I created it. I've never heard it before. I created it. That's a fact. The Paradox of 1492. Now, you have to think about what you know about 1492, which is mainly Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. I don't know how much more you know than that. I don't know how much. There was a lot of information that Black Americans were not taught, and they were not. If you look at the thumbnail, I don't believe Black Americans were only exploited by white supremacists. I believe they were also exploited by popular black leaders. And that could be a lot of people. Peace, Mobile. Mobile was in the house. Peace, peace, peace and clarity always. Let's get it. Let's get it, man. So today's show will ruffle feathers, but most of my content ruffles feathers, so we're not too much worried about that. I invite the intellectuals, the historians. If you do have something that you don't agree on, then let's get it on intellectually. Point it out, point your evidence out. And I don't mind being wrong. I don't think I'm wrong in this particular case, but if you come with something that has stronger, more evidence than me, then hey, you will win. And I have to consider that. However, the miseducation of Black Americans has broken my heart. It has broken my heart because the effects of the miseducation is just devastating. Devastating. And someone has to step in and say something. And if no one's going to do it, then I'm going to do it. But not many people know. Some people know. On my screen is a brother. His name is 19 Keys. I don't know if we're going to say that Brother 19 Keys is a leader in the black community, but he does inspire. He is like a influencer. He's a social influencer. I don't know. That's not the same thing as a black leader. But if you do have influence, it can have the same effect by inspiring somebody else to go do something. You know, you putting some energy into that person to make them want to go do good or bad. So he's wrapped up in the portfolio of black heritage, like just the black community by happenstance. You understand? I don't know if we can consider him a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, but he's in the portfolio. He's in the portfolio. But many people are in the portfolio. And another brother by the name of Tariq Nasheed, he's in the portfolio. He did a documentary that I like. He did several parts to it called Hidden Colors. I like Hidden Colors. Dope. Tariq Nasheed is being looked at right now with the funny eye, because some people say he was all about Pan-Africanism at one point, and he was about supporting Black America, and then some people say that was before. Now he's on a whole foundational Black American kick, and his rhetoric is strong, and it's more divisive than anything. It's more divisive. I don't believe to have unity you have to hate another race. I don't believe that at all. So everything doesn't have to be to the extreme where, hey, we together and we have to hate all white people. I don't subscribe to that. I'm not saying that these brothers do. I just wanted to say that out loud. Before I start my teaching, I want to get into mm, mm. Okay, Mobile. We're gonna get into it. Mobile was in the comments for the Instagram people, and he says, "Always with discernment, there was so many gems in what he offered up." I think both of these brothers offered great gems at one point. Now they're in the beef with each other, and let's take a little bit of the listen to that before I go into my teachings.
Instagram. And recently, he has went viral for saying this about Tariq Nasheed.
You're right, and there's a degree of being wrong at the same time, right? So essentially, a lot of this is centered around Foundational Black Americans. That is a lineage-based group who does act like an organization or a movement with a center head, which would be Tariq Nasheed. Now, he says that he is not the head of it. It's a lineage, right? And we are not a group, but he definitely acts like, the leader of the group, if you will. And then there is the way that they treat and talk about Africans. So it's very demeaning, right? They talk about delineation, right, which is a separation and saying that, look, we are Black Americans. We are not associated with other groups, and we don't want to be grouped and classed in as well. We are from America, right? We have our rights in America, and we're going to
stop right there. Let's stop right there. I don't know what the word grifter means by true definition. But if someone does something and they position their arguments and their evidence in a way that they have to make sure they get something out of it, this is all to get something out of it. So I'm positioning it this way so that I have more of a support system. If I make them see it at this angle, then I can get a lot of people to get on our side, and then we can get stuff, and I can get stuff. I don't know what the definition of a grifter is. I never looked it up. But if I had to take a guess, I think I would be close. If you have done this, peace, guaranteed gain, salute. If you have done this, it is deplorable. And it is deplorable. And many people have done this. Let's just get it out the way. Starting with some people's heroes. The reason I give this man a little bit of slack for what I'm about to say, not much slack, but a little bit more. Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali spawned a lot of movements, bro. So nobody is gonna want to say anything against the teachings, one, of Noble Drew Ali. You gotta think of how many movements came out of the Noble Drew Ali movement. You got like a definite 2 to 3, if not more, but definitely 2, that are so prominent in Black American culture One being the NOI, Nation of Islam. Two being the 5% nations of the gods and earth. Those are your main two right there. And these two communities, good God, they have a lot of people in these communities. And I would say they're the most recognized in America. So you kind of want to get with a group that is recognized, right? You can get protection. You can not get overlooked because you know, like, yo, these groups are known not to be playing around. So you get representation. So without a Jamel Saladin, who would be me? Without a person like me, the courage, the intelligence to come along and try to straighten something out, what are we straightening out? Well, there was things that either was said mistakenly or on purpose. Either way, we got to straighten them out. Well, like what, brother? Like the fact that we are not... It says the original man was the Asiatic black man. Can we stop? Where's the evidence of this? Original man was the Asiatic black man. What? Just because you keep repeating something, it won't make it true. It won't make it true. So what I had to do is I had to go back. And I said, wow, why would he say these things? And then I realized, oh, okay, I see what's going on. When you're trying to inspire people from a dysphoria who, you know, unless you ever went through not knowing who you are, you don't really know that type of anguish, where you come from. And you don't know the effects that it has on a person. So I tend not to get emotional when someone that is other than a melanated African American starts to talk on the topic, because I realize that through their ignorance they have no idea what they're even talking about. But I've lived this on various levels of not understanding who I am and the effects it has on the people. Now, when there's someone that comes along with a strong voice, and it seems like they have education, more education than you, and it seems like they can explain things and articulate words, and it makes sense, then many people would get behind that. You know, this makes sense right here. Sure do. And then these people are going to procreate, and they're going to have kids, and they're going to teach these kids these things. And these kids, like every other people, everybody else that loves their family, they're going to honor. They're going to place the things that they learned from their loving parents in a sentimental category in their life. And they're going to hold that, and they're going to bring that with them until they go to procreate, and then this information will be instilled, and then the list goes on. So it comes to a point, though, But someone has to stop. If they found something that is contradictory, and I think I found something that has been contradictory, then they have to come and say, yo, listen to me well. It's not that I don't love the brothers. Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, Master Farhan, Father Allah. But I need you to hear me. There were some things that were not said, that were not given, that I think you need to hear. And then you can make your own, you could go right back to what you was doing before. You know what I don't like? Sidebar. We about to get into it. Sidebar. I don't like people that say, well, anyway, I don't care. Those type of people I have no tolerance for. You know why? These are not, and they are there, but they're not the people I'm looking to give my message to. These people can leave the room now. They can go to cat videos, lesbians fighting on the beach, whatever you watch, I don't care. I look for people to conversate with that have critical thinking abilities. That honor critical thinking. What am I doing talking to someone who doesn't even consider critical thinking? Why would I have a conversation with you? I'm an intellectual. So when you get these type of people that, well, anyway, I don't care what you show. I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. Yeah, because you are not an intellectual. That you are doing exactly what I thought you would do. Thank you and good night. Now, facts, Mobile. So we know what I understand. I understand what sells more, right? I get it. I get it. I get it. Now, we have to find out. Hold on 1 second. I had something on my screen. Good. Whether Noble Drew Ali, because he's the one who started this, the original man was the Asiatic black man. Then you may not know the history, but Master Farad was do I want to call him a student or a follower? I think I like the word follower better. He was in the Moorish Science Temple of America. And he was not on Noble Drew Ali's level within that organization. He had respect. He just wasn't on his level. Hierarchy wise, not intellectually wise, not spiritually wise. No. Hierarchy wise, there was Noble Drew Ali, and then he had other people underneath him. The one person that could explain this way better than me is locked up right now. Yeah. It's locked up for the vile acts. Allegedly. Dr. Z. York. However, Dr. Z. York was a writing fool before he got locked up. Because I do think he knew that one day they're going to come for me. And they did. But before that, he wrote over 1,000 books. The good thing about this information is that you're able to timeline, right? A lot of this stuff, if you read his works, and it's still out there. I have a whole library of his stuff. And the actual, what they call the Nuwapians, scrolls that he had. So I'm able to go through it, and he was very meticulous when it came to dates, and he put up flyers that other people made as evidence. Oh, the boy did his thing. Yeah. So this is why I don't think I get a lot of pushback in my videos when I talk about this topic, because some people that tell me, yeah, I don't really like to talk about that. Yeah, the same way nobody liked to talk about African Bambaataa doing what he did. And look where that got us. Us not wanting to talk about it. Right, Roby. So if you look at my thumbnail, I got CIA agents trying to indoctrinate our youth. We have religious groups doing the same thing, which I don't mind, but you got to tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. If you do not tell the truth, then I'm going to be... I got to say it now. So, if you did not know, going back to the history and how I know the history, I just explained that to you, just in case you have doubts. I don't want nobody up here saying, yo, you just talking to talk, because I've said these things. And when I have these type of conversations, all of a sudden I just see a bunch of elders start doing videos on YouTube about controlling the narrative. It's no narrative to control. What do you talk? Why do you guys do that? After I do a video, all of a sudden I see a bunch of the elders from the NOI and all these other places. Now you starting to do video. Yo, let's control the conversation. There's nothing to protect. It's not like I'm out here talking crazy on Elijah Muhammad like Malcolm X was doing. You understand? I'm saying people was taught wrong. So for all of this, yo, we know where our leaders came from, and we don't need this. Yo. This is history. You're not going to shut down me talking about history. So if you think that Master Farad is God, that is your business. History shows him with 50 aliases with the FBI. I didn't say they was true. I'm just telling you what the FBI put out there. What are you getting mad at me for? Because I'm repeating history. Name of my show is Society, Past, Present, and Future. FBI said the man had 50 aliases. It's not me. You get mad at the FBI. Get mad at Hoover. Dr. Z York documented pretty well what was going on at that time. If it wasn't for him, I would not have known that he was even a student of Noble Drew Ali, nor would I have known that Elijah Muhammad was a student of Noble Drew Ali. I would not have known these things. This is good history. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You know why? Because people are human. That's why. It wasn't until the death of Noble Drew Ali that Master Farad said that he was the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali. But at this time, there was a lot of talk about people being the reincarnation of things. They said Hassan is a grifter. Hassan. Sidebar, y'all. Sorry. Hassan, they saying you a grifter, Lord. It is not me saying you are a grifter, Hassan. It's the people in the comments, Lord. They say you was taking pictures well into your teenage 20s with this man. Unsidebar. That's neither here nor there. I have to stay focused. So, from Noble Drew Ali, we get Master Farad Muhammad. Something was going on. He says he was the reincarnation. That's what Master Farad was saying. I'm the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali. I may look European, but I'm the MC of a... Now, he didn't have no raps. But he did say that. He was the reincarnation. However, so did Noble Drew Ali's chauffeur. Noble Drew Ali's chauffeur said the same exact thing. No, I'm the incarnation of Noble Drew. So there was a lot of reincarnations going on. Why? I don't know, but I do know. I don't know why you want to be the reincarnation of somebody else, because his facts wasn't all together. Starting with the point, you being Asiatic black, which never made no sense to me. But I'm running around as a youth in New York, and yeah, the Asiatic black man. The fuck are we talking about? Once I got some goddamn sense into my head and decided, won't you go to do the research, Jamel? You do the research. It does not seem like we are. Because the Asians came from the black man. So how could the original man be the fucking Asiatic black? What are you talking about? The Asians came from black people. Hello, McFly. But we're going to go deeper into the topic, trust and believe. That's what I do. He said this at a time where clearly he had evidence of a peace and friendship treaty between Morocco. You have to understand that Noble Drew Ali was part of many esoteric fraternities. That doesn't mean that he didn't have love for his black people. However, sometimes you can get a little bit too smart for your own good. And I believe he's seen the opportunity to connect I want to use a word that I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds like I could use it in this particular sense. Diasporated. If that is a word, shout out to me for being right on point. And if it's not a word, you still know what I mean. I believe that Noble Drew Ali seen an opportunity to connect with the diasporated black people of America to give them identity and what that could do for the communities and culture. So he had the information that he had. He had some information now. Now it was how to connect this information. Morocco is in Africa. The United States has a treaty with Africa. Morocco is on the west. Slave trade took place in the west. I think we can connect these together. And if I can connect these together, then United States, because you have a treaty with Morocco, then you must acknowledge us because we are the descendants. This is my thought process. I'm not saying this. I do not believe this at all, as you will see in my evidence coming up shortly. But I'm thinking like, what could have been going through Noble Drew Ali's head for him to have said this? He probably was saying, we are the descendants of these Moroccan people. Therefore, you must acknowledge us and treat us differently. For the people that do claim the lineage and the ancestry. Furthermore, we will create our own nation, and you must give us sovereignty, United States. Yeah, peace, Mobile. Peace, Roby. Roby got bees that's on the loose. Get your bees, bro. Before they send over a sheriff and arrest you for having wild bees on your land, property, and all that. Get your bees, Roby. Peace. Now, who wouldn't want to get with a movement like that? That's gonna collect people right away. Right? And it did. And I'm very impressed on how that movement grew. Millions of NOI. And you got to understand my admiration, not only for, first of all, I love Minister Farrakhan. My admiration for the NOI movement. Those brothers, they got the FOI, Fruit of Islam. Woo! Serious brothers, Jack. Serious brothers, Jack. I got a lot of admiration for the 5% nation of the gods and earth. Peace to the gods and the earths. So, I don't want my message to come as an attack. However, you cannot get an egg without breaking. You cannot get an omelet without breaking some eggs. And when things grow in the wrong direction, sometimes you have to snap and break it and then mend it back together. This has grown in the wrong direction, and it continues to grow in the wrong direction. Because no one either has the courage to step up and admit that these men were wrong because what they meant to us in our community. That's number one. Number two is they couldn't articulate to you how either. The one person who has tried is my teacher. We speak often. He wrote a book, and in fact, Brother Kaba Kamim, he has been in Hidden Colors. He's in the Hidden Colors. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the new Hidden Colors. He has done nothing to... I didn't hear about any beef. I think I would have heard about it by now. Any beef between him and Tariq Nasheed. There's no beef. There's no bad blood there. I call him the master teacher. I think that would have came out. The Moorish Science Temple of America reached out to him. He did not go track them down. The master teacher's specialty is in... Now, when I say the master teacher, he's not my God or any funny business. But he is someone I learned from. Right? So, he's more of a master than I. Not because of his age, but the knowledge that he has. So much knowledge. This guy, I'm learning a lot. A lot. and that is what, learning from him, I came up with the term, the paradox of 1492, right? And maybe it's not his job to call out Noble Drew Ali and everybody else. Maybe it's my job. Maybe I'm from a different generation that's a little bit more messier. Every generation gets a little bit more messier, right? I look at the YNs of today. They are a little bit more messier. Like, there was things that we crashed out about up until this day. But it seems like as the generations go on, it gets a little bit more ridiculous. This book is Who Were the Moors Before the Moors. If you get a chance, you can order that book. You can order that book on Amazon. Who Were the Moors Before the Moors? Please, you can order that book. He also has another book on carbon and melanin that I still have to pick that book up. I've only been getting information through different ways about that book, but actually I'm ordering that book today so that I have the physical copy. So through reading this book, it put me onto something, and I said, man, we got to get into this. And one of the things that it introduced me to was the history of the Songhai Empire. I was never taught about the Songhai Empire. I was never taught about Gao. Why would I? I live in America. They're not going to teach me about Songhai Empire and Gao, Timbuktu. They're not going to teach me that in America. They barely want to teach the American history the way it was. Something seemed off, though. I can tell you that. Something seemed off. I have been studying Roman history. Right now, I'm in the middle of Phoenician. I'm studying the Phoenicians, studied the Canaanites. I've studied, obviously, the Sumerians, the Egyptians. There's so many people. And then when it comes to Africa, nobody does the history. It is like it's discouraged, but not discouraged. Nobody does the history. You know how they discourage without discouraging? They put, and by they I mean the people who control access to information. It's like a gold star when it comes to Greek. Everything Greek, 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 Greek. Until I started studying, and then I found out the Greeks had to go through the Africans for the information they had. I found it to be very contradictory and ridiculous that a civilization would be prompted up to such a position and no accreditation, nothing would be given to the people who taught those people. It is the equivalent to someone doing a song that somebody else wrote and produced, and then all you did was come in and you reset it. You reset everything. You resung the song. Shout out to Quentin Miller. Shout out to Quentin Miller, Pusha T, and Meek Mill. And Drake. Shout out to Quentin Miller. How y'all all gonna... How y'all all... It's crazy. Everyone's taking his work, want hits, but nobody wants to give the man any credit for writing a hit. Then we ostracize him for being put on display for writing your hits. You guys are bugging. But neither here or there. It's the same thing. Historians and mathematicians are given credit. Greek historians and mathematicians are given credit. Pythagoras is given credit. Oh, the Pythagorean theorem. And then they don't even tell you, yo, the dude waited outside of an African school for 1 year just to get inside and know the knowledge. So the more you try to suppress something, at some point, it will draw in curiosity, because people are going to say, yo, what are you trying to hide over there? What's behind your back? It's nothing behind my back. Oh, it's something behind your back, blood. What are you doing? I want to play some audio of Tariq Nasheed. Give me a second. We'll get into the lesson in a second.
Americans hooking up at all. There's a myth that Africans don't like African Americans. Yeah. That myth comes from African immigrants coming over here and the white supremacists telling them, don't hook up with those black folks now. Hey. Because, you know, whenever we talk about injustices, they always tell black people, hey, well, you don't like it, just go back to Africa. But every time we try to hook up, they sabotage it. Hey. Go back to Marcus Garvey. When we tried to hook up with Africa with Garvey, the FBI sabotaged that. Specifically, they sent in agents on Garvey.
That's what the white supremacists do. Because that is an old tactic. It's an old tactic. It's an old tactic. Hit the like button. Hit the like button everywhere. I don't know what they can see on Instagram right now, but I don't have time to babysit Instagram. If you like it, hit the like button. If you don't, I don't care. Genesis 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Right then and there, that is showing you in that first verse two things: synchronicity and solidarity. Synchronicity and solidarity. You would have to understand, when it comes to understanding this book here, it is written in code. Right? So if you come across somebody like me, your first reaction shouldn't try to be to play us, because there's very few of us that understand and can articulate to you the inner and outer code. You understand? There's some that can explain the outer for sure. Those are the people running around, religious zealots and all of that, that do not have the understanding that much of this book was written in an astral theological tone. An astral theological tone. So a lot, if you take the code, Genesis being the first book, 11 being the chapter that it's in, that's 3 ones right there. Then if you take the 4th one, the very first verse in the first book, the 11th chapter, in the first verse, that's 4 ones, which is a symbol of synchronicity in the numerological world. And it says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain. Why did the writer say that? And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east. What else comes from the east? Can anybody tell me in the chat? And I would expect Mobile to tell me. But we do have Mrs. Winter in the building. Shout out Winter. She's in the building. Good day, Miss Winter. Peace to the gods and the earth, the original man. Original man is in the building. Okay, doctor. Okay, no doubt. Thank you, Mobile. The sun. Thank you. That's what comes from the East. So, as I said, much of what is written in here is astro-theological. However, it is not for you to throw the book away, dash the book away. Oh, that's rubbish. It is not rubbish. You just don't understand it. So therefore, you're inclined to not pay attention to it. However, would you throw a baby out with the bathwater? If you would, you are what we call a crash out. Yes. You are a crash out. You do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Meaning there's much wisdoms in the book. There's stories that are centuries old that will guide your life. It's not even about religion, to tell you the truth. But let's keep reading. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the sun that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and that they dwelt there. To my understanding, Shinar is Sumer. And they said to one another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. How long does it take? How long does it take to build a city? Let alone a tower to reach the heavens. I do not think whoever they're talking about was omniscient. Is that how you say that? Omniscient? He wasn't all knowing. He could not have been all knowing. Because I don't know why he didn't know that. And he definitely wasn't omnipresent. For if he was omnipresent, he would have known right away. Nonetheless, I digress. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. The children of men. That would be you, my guy. You're out here manifesting things. And I would say we are out here manifesting things. Remember, their concern was that they will be scattered abroad. They did not want to be scattered about. They did not want a diaspora. They knew the consequences of a diaspora. They knew. They said it in there. They said it. They said, go to, let us build a city, something for them, and a tower, whose top may reach to heaven. Let us make a name. And it said, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. They didn't want the diaspora. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. The people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. But check this part out. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Black people, who I do believe be the original people on this planet. Not the Asiatic black man. And we'll get to that in a second. When I look at us, and I look how everybody else move, they move with more solidarity. Now, the people I think that move with the most solidarity are the people that we call Zionists, who are also in a category with the Jewish people, or the people who claim to be Jewish. For there are those who say they are Jews and they are not, obviously. But they are of the synagogue of Satan. There are those who say they are Jews and they are not, but they are of the synagogue of Satan. These are not my words, and they are not Nietzsche's words. These are the books, the words in the book. Revelations, if you're looking for those. These are not my words, and these are not Nietzsche's words. These are the words that are in the book. So we have a God who clearly does not know what's going down, and he's about to crash out. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. Okay. He said, let us go. This is the Lord, who I'm assuming to be Yahweh. Let us go down. Who is us? This is not a religious show I'm doing today, so it's a rhetorical question. I don't need you to explain to me who us is, because unless you're going to tell the truth, you don't know who us is. So you either not telling the truth because you don't know, or you're not telling the truth because you want to keep a narrative going. So if you say any nonsense about a Trinity and all this blah, 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 shut up. Let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Let me tell you something, black man. That's been happening with you, and we see the benefits. That's what's been happening with us, and we see the effects of us not being able to communicate with each other. It weakens us. The diaspora weakened us, and now our communication, not being able to synchronize. Everything is being done so that we do not come together. Because where there are 2 or 3 gathered on the same vibrational level, woo! You can change some things. So there is a conscious effort to never let us talk to each other.
In the 70s, the Big New Brzezinski, they put out a paper saying we do not want Africans and African Americans hooking up at all. Because, you know, there were a lot of African revolutions over there in the 60s and 70s, so people were fighting for their independence. Mugabe and all those people getting those white supremacists up out of there. So they didn't want us hooking up with that. When they did that Rumble in the Jungle with Ali and Don King, they didn't want that to happen. Yeah. But Muhammad Ali, and they wanted to go over there and link up with the people. That's why Muhammad Ali is a big icon, right? That brother was on that Pan-African thing all the way back then. And even in the 90s, when Gaddafi, he was getting independence as far as economics. He's trying to get everybody on the gold standard over there. He was trying to hook up with African Americans through Minister Farrakhan.
I was at that. What do you want to call that? It wasn't a conference. I think the minister had did something. He got a license or something to block off 116th Street. Minister Farrakhan. He came to New York. I was down there, Harlem, 116. Threw that joint up on the jumbotron, right? They put a big screen right there in the middle of the street. We had the streets blocked off. You can't come down 116. He calls Muammar Gaddafi. They have the telephone conversation right there, live and direct. Symposium? Okay. Okay, guaranteed game is back. Salute. Good, guaranteed. You ain't missed nothing yet. You ain't missed nothing yet because I'm still building up the conversation. So I'll let you know when we start the information. You'll know anyway. Hold on, let me check on something. Cool. And I think, man, that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. Muammar Gaddafi was giving his people stipends from the resources from the land. So why wouldn't he have given Minister Farrakhan? But I think that would have been too much for the white supremacists of the United States to endure. Because we have to understand a lot of the financial system weighed down on, and not only our just our financial system in America, yes, but also our culture. The American culture relied on the incarceration of melanated people. There was a lot of money to be made off the, and if you took that away, and if you took it away too abruptly, it could have caused or triggered an economic collapse. So, because they never truly got rid of slavery, they you know how people say energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred, it cannot be created or destroyed. That is the American slavery system. It wasn't destroyed, it was transferred, but it was transferred that in a way that could not visibly always be visibly seen. So mistakenly people thought, oh yeah, it's no longer here, until it was no longer possible to not visibly see it again when you lock up 1 million men for small pebbles of cocaine after you brought in the cocaine. Is crazy. Like that's nuts, bro. You handing out years in prison like Skittles. 25. Mm-hmm. 30. What? You brought this stuff in? Yeah, I hear you. 45. Being that the slavery system didn't go anywhere, and it was not gonna go anywhere for a while, because unless you took a good look and analyzed the structure of the American economy, I don't even think you would have seen how we relied on. There was a lot of, to this day, there's towns that if you take the prison out of that town might fall. To this day, that town might fall if you take the prison out of that town. There's more. You got to think about all the people that's getting paid through the criminal justice system, and then the people that it just seemed like these people are heathens that cannot learn, right? Yeah, no, these people are always getting locked up. So it has a perception like black people just, oh, we're getting locked up. Who gets paid off your incarceration? The bail bondsman, right? Gets paid off your incarceration. The bailiff, right? The stenographer, right? The janitor has to open up the building for the courthouse for you to even walk in. He has to clean the floors. The clerk. The bullshit ass paid attorney that they appoint you, who will get you locked up because he don't know what the fuck he's doing. He has definitely got me locked up. You dig? Huh? And that is how I found out what the word reprimand means. Huh? Yeah, I heard that shit in court. The judge was like, yeah, he's reprimanded. Yeah, I don't even like the sound of that, God. What does that word mean? Yeah, he wants you to spend a couple days in jail. The fuck are you talking about? Your Honor, if I can have a word, my client. Needless to say, I did end up on the bus. So that bus driver got paid. That brought me up to the jail. Then the COs took me out of the jail. Off the bus. Where I was shuffled to meet a nurse of some sorts who took some form of fucking DNA from me. I was in no habit to put up any big fight. I should not be here long, and I do not want you to stick me with Thurozine. So a lot of people getting paid. We didn't mention the doctors. We didn't mention the psychiatrists in there. We didn't mention the people who provide the food, ingredients. You understand? The food has to come from somewhere for the people to cook, for the inmates to cook. They're not growing fucking food inside there. It's dropped off, the ingredients, right? All of this is through contract, by the way. So it's a big business. So when you want to know why Saladin be acting like a square, because I don't want to contribute to fucking black ignorance, nigga. That's why. We didn't do any work together on the street, nigga. If we did, you would not have that same tone with me, because you would have known how it goes down in the streets with me. Easy. It's different. This is a fucking nothing. This is not the real word. This is, I don't want to contribute to black ignorance knowing how these people are getting paid off the enslavement of my people once they are inspired themselves. Some of these people must not understand what it means to be a criminal. They don't understand, right? I'm going to say they don't understand because when they get caught, they be fucking talking, blood. Talking. Oh, yeah. So this is what really happened. And then, shut your fucking mouth, bro. So, all of this stupid ass talk about, a civilian got beat up and then he went to the cops. That's what he's supposed to do, nigga. Everybody didn't subscribe to, I don't know why these young black people and these urban black people feel like they have to subscribe to some street code. Nigga, are you in the streets? Let's start there. Are you in the streets doing street shit? If you're not, you don't have to follow these rules. Yeah, you should be looking for a cop. You should be looking for a cop. Please. There's consequences with taking the law in your own hand. And there's a time to take the law in your own hand. But maybe there's a time to say, nah, I got something for your ass. It's called the long arm. You broke the law, nigga. You're going to jail. Yeah. It's okay. Nigga, you work at the Piggly Wigglies on the night shift. What is you doing? Taking matters in your own. They got people that get paid for this type of stuff. But we got these dumbass conversations. We're mixing cultures. Yeah, y'all both black, but this is a working man. This is a savage. I assure you that. Y'all just both black and young. That's all y'all have. Y'all listen to rap music. Y'all have some, but the lifestyle is completely different, and I need y'all to stop because y'all both listen to rap music thinking that y'all live the same. Y'all don't live the same at all. I believe if we truly understood who we might be and where we come from, it might have an effect on how we move forward. But I think it definitely will have an effect on the younger people. But if they don't know that they come from great kings, great warriors, if they truly think they came from black men in Africa who was running around in skimpy ass Speedos with no knowledge of anything, just fucking nappy hair, and if that's who they think. But the funny thing is, that's not even they don't even think they come from these people. Because information was suppressed, the people who did have the microphone, like Noble Drew Ali, he said, listen, you guys are fucking descendants of the Moors, the Moroccans. What? Yeah. Richard Man was the Asiatic black man. That's you, God. What? Trust me. Let's get into the teachings. Let's get into the teachings. Now, I don't know how that's going to look on your screen, but I had to make it that small because I did want the people on Instagram to be able to see this. But also, again, people on Instagram, at some point you got to go over to the YouTube. Alright, it's 1 o'clock. Let's try to run through this so that I could go pick up the youth and all up from school. You dig? We're going to start here. Defining species. We have to get a little bit scientific so that we can have a clear distinction of what is what and what is not. So I want to talk about species, a complex biological concept. What constitutes a species is more nuanced than it appears. While it's the fundamental unit of a biological classification, its definition varies depending on the organisms and scientific context. What does that mean? What are you saying to me right now? There's too many words, Saladin. Easy. What scientists have done is they're saying, okay, we're going to classify species because something can look like a human being, right? It could be a human being, it could not be, but we're going to classify it based on some biological identifiers. And with these identifiers, we're going to put in this group here, and these identifiers we're going to put in this group here, and they're going to have different names. I think that's very important just to start out with, right? So, example, what do you mean by that? Well, one of the names is Homo sapien sapien. Another word is a Homo sapien. What's the difference, right? Another one is, I think, Homo naledi. That's the one we're going to talk about today. And in fact, that term is in this book here. Page 107. The species name Homo naledi refers to the cave where the bones have remained for so long. Naledi means star in the local Sesotho language. More than 1,550 fossil elements documenting the discovery constituted the largest sample for any hominid species in a single African site. It was one of the largest anywhere in the world. The sample they found is very small fraction of fossils that have yet to be discovered from this particular room. So far, 15 individuals have been found. Homo naledi is the best known fossil member of the humanities lineage. We'll get more into that in a second. Just wanted you to know where I got the information. Biological species concept. The most common definition: a group of natural populations that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring but are reproductively isolated from others such groups. This concept struggles with asexual organisms and fossils. Phylogenetic species concept defines a species as the smallest group sharing a common ancestor, distinguishable by unique genetic or morphological traits. It emphasizes evolutionary history and is useful for asexual extinct species. Morphological species concept based on physical appearance and structural similarities. Organisms that look sufficiently distinct are classified as different species. This was the traditional approach before advanced genetic analysis. Combined evidence recognizing the limitations of a single definition. Modern taxonomy often integrates genetic, morphological, behavioral, ecological, and fossil evidence to categorize species. There is no single universal definition. Okay. Categorizing life. The Linnean hierarchy. Species are organized within a hierarchical system, reflecting evolutionary relationships. This guy, Carl, I never was able to say this guy's name. Carl Linnaeus introduced binomial nomenclature. Example, Homo sapiens. And his system remains foundational. I often question Carl and Johann Blumenbach. They were both white supremacists. But I'm speaking from a position, not that I agree with these people, because these people were going around classifying people by the shape of their head. But, in the shape of their skull, rather. But I'm speaking from a point where this is how science is formed, and I want to speak where I am recognized. I don't want to go so off the rails, because I do, and you guys know that. But in this particular case, I'll try to stay within the framework. Ah, yes, Uncle Andy. Thank you. Yes, Uncle Andy. That is correct. The science of... We'll get to that in a second, Uncle Andy. And again, Uncle Andy, a lot of times, so this is what I do, and I'll show you guys one day. I have my notes, right? And I use software to make my job easier. So what I did is I have like 13 pages. These are all my notes. Let me just show you real quick, just in case you think I'm bullshitting you. I'm going to come out of here, and I'm going to go to... These are all my notes, right? This is my book. This is my work. I have 13 pages. So what I do is I give this to my other app to make cards out of them, right? And then, unfortunately, the app is an AI, and what happens is it will embellish some of my words, and it will change. It will act like, okay, I know what you're saying, so I'm gonna add. So it adds shit that I didn't say in my own work that I'm giving it. So a lot of times when I'm reading the cards, especially in the case like today where I'm like pinched for time and I give it to it, I kind of gotta hope that it doesn't change my shit, but if it does, I'm gonna change it on the fly. So I'm with you. I'm with you there, Uncle Andy. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. So let's talk about taxonomy and binomials. The science of classification is taxonomy. Uses a two-part scientific name for every species, providing a universal identifier that avoids regional language and confusion. Number 2, hierarchical ranks. Life is organized from broad to specific. Here we go. This is how these people have organized life through 1, domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. This structure helps maps the tree of life. So, off the bat, I believe they want the definition so confusing that you don't even have the patience to truly understand unless they can get you enrolled in one of their 4-year schools. Because if you oversimplify, they're going to just say you don't understand. And then your voice is not going to be taken seriously. Example, Homo naledi. This ancient hominin is called is classified as Homo naledi within the genus Homo. Its unique combination of traits, small brain, modern hands and feet, distinguished it as a separate species. So, the reason I bring this up is because was there a play on words, word semantics, when Noble Drew Ali says the original man was the Asiatic black man. Was he talking about Homo sapiens sapiens? Or was he talking about something else? Because if we go back to Genesis 1:26, it says right there, and God said, let us make man in our image. Let us make man in our image. Watch this. Let us make man in our image. Watch this. Let us make man in our image. Two different things going on. Same verse. I'm going to read it again. And first of all, they lied to you because that word God that they put in here, it was not God. It was Elohim. So I'm going to read it as it was and not how they put it in here, which is a singular noun, God. But what was there was, and the Elohim said, let us make man in our image. And the Elohim said, let us make man in our image. One can be interpreted as, let us make man and make him in our image. And the other can mean, let us make the man that's already here in our image. Oh, let us make man in our image. Not what he's running around now as, which is a guy with a small brain that barely, in their opinion, knows how to really utilize the things around them. Which one was it? Was man already here and they just had to tweak him to upgrade him? Or did it mean let us make man completely? Well, there's a lot going on there anyway, because that's not what my video is about, but they didn't even want to tell you about the Elohim. And the Elohim was not a singular God, and it damn sure wasn't Yahweh. The Y chromosome, architect of male identity and paternal legacy. Let's talk about it. The Y chromosome is central to biological male sex determination, primarily through the SRY gene. This gene acts as a master switch in embryonic development, triggering the formation of testes and subsequent male characteristics. It also contains genes crucial for spermatogenesis. Listen to this. When I came up in Mount Vernon, New York. We bordered the Bronx. There's no way not to know us. If you're in the Five Boroughs and somebody says Mount Vernon, you like, where? Nigga, you don't come outside. That's crazy talk. Where? What? But I don't really get that type of response from people. It's always, oh yeah, I was locked up with some cats in Mount Vernon. I know some Mount Vernon cats. Yeah. Good for you. The reason I bring this up, we did have thanks to brother Eddie Bobo Stevenson, he supplied Mount Vernon with all of our cultural books. If you wanted a cultural book in Mount Vernon, from the early 90s to probably today, the store is probably still there. Here's a store called Al Nur on 2nd Street between 3rd and 4th Avenue. You get your incense there. You get the black books there. I had a thought on why I brought that up. It was something to do with the books, and it's going to come back to me. And until it does, this particular passage right here, these 2 paragraphs, I'm reminded of Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson when he was on his show and they asked him about X chromosomes and Y chromosomes, and he did not want to answer the question because of DEI funding. He didn't even want to make a define the Y chromosome. He didn't want to define science, and he was a scientist and one of America's leading scientists and melanated African American, which was kind of sad at the same. It was really sad. I don't know if he was on pills that day. He was drunk. He came off like inebriated. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you saying? He's like, what does it matter? If you feel, it's however you feel, sir. We're dealing with science. It is not. It is not. However you feel. Genetically, the Y chromosome is unique for paternal lineage tracing. Its Y DNA is used to identify haplogroups, which are crucial for mapping ancient human migrations and population history. The deepest modern human Y haplogroups originate in Africa, affirming the out of Africa theory and tracking global dispersals. Yeah, that's what he discovered. Okay. Let's keep track of time. Do I need to speed this up? Oh, we got some time. I got some time. Okay. Now that is for the Y chromosome, which I just explained is for the male identity and paternal legacy, right? Now let's get into some female unique identifiers. Mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses inside almost every cell producing energy. Unlike nuclear DNA from both parents, mitochondrial DNA is a small separate circular piece of DNA located exclusively within the mitochondria. It's about 16 16,569 base pairs long. You guys don't need to know that. Although I do study shit like that. But again, that's my AI wigging out. I'm not going to bore you with those. And that wasn't my AI. That's, again, I use this to make the cards, and then it, instead of just taking the information that I put, it always adds shit that I did not ask it to add. Anyway, significance in human origins. The mitochondria DNA is vital for tracing direct maternal lineages. So here we have the Y chromosome in the DNA for the males, and the mitochondrial powerhouses for tracing direct maternal lineages. Research indicates all modern humans share a common maternal ancestor, mitochondrial Eve, who lived in Africa roughly. Okay, but that's not the notes. Hold on, let me find the note that I'm looking for. And I changed it myself, so I know. There we go. I just put it in the wrong spot. Mitochondrial DNA is inherited exclusively from the mother. Exclusively from the mother. So here we have, this is why it's important for you to understand science to some degree. And we have to be aware, we have to be concerned when we see the schools start to dumb down on the core sciences and expectations from our students. At that point, when you recognize this, don't be looking at the school like, yo, y'all not, if they're not doing it, you have to do something to change that. Because our kids are not being, our students, our children's students are not being challenged. And then they're being bombarded with distractions via the apps. Then there is a energy to keep the families broken. And it's all science. You have to understand the positive energy mixing with the negative energy, which is the male and female coming together to create life, just like the raindrops, which might as well be the sperm going into the dirt, the soil, the earth, to connect into the seed, as above, so below, that connect into the seed, that gives you what? That gives you life. So when the white supremacist crazy superiors start doing crazy shit like playing with the weather, they into all type of shit they should not be into. But you would understand that too if you understood extraterrestrial history. But you don't understand extraterrestrial history. Rightfully so, you was only taught what they taught you. Right? So everything that comes out my mouth, if I'm new to your ears, if I'm virgin to your ears, it sounds crazy. Like, I never heard of none of this shit you talking about. So when I say to you, well, the origins of the white man are not from this planet, you say, that's crazy talk. Of course they come from this planet. Why do you think that? Where else would they come from? It's a good fucking question. But true indeed, if the origins was from this planet, I do think they would have been designed to live on this planet. Without such a harsh reaction from our one son, right? It wouldn't have been that crazy. yeah, you want to tell me about gene mutations and turning off their you melanin and all of this crazy stuff. Yeah, I hear you talking. It's just that I don't believe a word that come out your mouth because I know you meaning the people who's trying to distract me and want me to think something, really want me to believe that, because you don't ever want me to really think that some entities on this planet could come from somewhere other, originated somewhere other than this here planet. But anyway, I digress. The main point of this slide was mitochondrial DNA is inherited exclusively from the mother. Mitochondrial Eve, who lived roughly 200 to 350 years ago in Africa. She was not the only woman alive at the time. She is simply the woman from whom all living maternal lines descend. So here we have Y chromosome, specifically dedicated to male species, and mitochondrial DNA, which you can only inherit through your mother. Y-chrome research identified a remarkable ancient paternal lineage in an African American man from South Carolina, dating back about 338,000 years. Why is the conversation so disproportionate when it comes to history? Have you asked yourself that? Do hit the like button. Religion only wants to go back 3,000-4,000 years. They don't want to go further back than that. They must have a lot of power because nobody else seems to want to go further back than that either. Religion doesn't want to go back past the fabricated history of the Jews. Whatever history you have of the Jews is fabricated, including this. This is plagiarism at its finest. Is what this is. They speak of a guy named Noah. Noah had kids. Noah has a completely different name in a civilization before the Jews were even fucking thought about. Same story, different name. And that's okay because they changed the name several times. What's not okay is the story changing in certain areas. The names changing, I could probably see. One of his names was Upanishtim. 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 That was the name of Noah before Noah. They were never going to tell you that shit. Yeah, because that's a different... Now, who came first? The chicken or the egg? Right? Well, in this particular case, like I said, way before Jews were even thought of, Hebrews were even thought of, there was a story of Upanishtim being the Noah of that time. So they weren't going to teach you about Upanishtim, and they weren't going to teach you about Atrahasis at all. However, it is the year 2026 of your Lord. There is nothing stopping you from looking up the Epic of Atrahasis, right? The creation tablets. There's nothing stopping you. But my point is this. They went back to a certain time point and it stopped. Yet, our scientists are saying the Y chromosome research identified a remarkable ancient paternal lineage in an African American man from South Carolina dating back about 338,000 years. Now, you're probably saying, yo, yeah, but that's a long time. You know, they probably making stuff up. Stop right there. The Sumerian Kings list goes back minimum 200,000 years from when they was writing it, whenever they wrote it. So we don't even know when they wrote it, and they had wrote, but we do figure that it was over 5,000 years ago. We figure that this had to be definitely over 3,000 years ago. And they're talking about a Sumerian king's list that goes back 200,000 years. So I'm only bringing this up to point out to you that everything that you're told, obviously, is not always true. Number one. But if you're serious about your life, you get on the good foot. Humanity's origins are not a single point of departure. This is some shit they're writing down. I'm not reading that. Three peoples. All right, now let's get into some. I want to get into some education. I got a little bit of time. I got to leave at 1:50, I think. Yeah, we could do this. And if not, this is a great start, at least. And I'll finish tonight. I want to talk about three people. I want to talk about the Berbers, the Arabs, and the West Africans. This has to be talked about amongst Black Americans, and I truly hope it does reach an audience that can benefit and clear up some of this misunderstanding that we've been having in the Black community. People running around, they're calling themselves Moors, they're running around with the old education of Noble Drew Ali. Human population history across North Africa, Arabia, and West Africa is the best understood through three distinct groups and their interactions. That is Forget Me Not sped up. I didn't even know that. That is Forget Me Not sped up. I just realized that. The Berbers and the Amazigh. Alright, let's start with the Berbers. Indigenous North Africans with their own languages and cultures, predating outside influence, called the Maori by Romans, a geographic label. The Maori was called the geographic labels. Arabs, from the Arabian Peninsula, unified by Islam in the 7th century, spread into North Africa through conquest, blending with Berbers through Arabization, cultural and not ethnic replacement. Okay. I will elaborate on more of this later on. I'm just going through it right now. West Africans, called Balad al-Sudan, land of the blacks, by Arabs. A broad external label for many distinct peoples and civilizations, including Ghana, Mali, and the Songhai. Now, what I will do is clarify that there was a distinction between who we call the North African Berbers, the Arabs, who, in my opinion, through research and just looking at history, wanted to expand Islam. And it was kind of like, well, we have to expand Islam before Christianity expands too far, and then we don't have any, you understand? So we need people on our side. And then you had West Africans. There is a clear distinction in what the older religious leaders did was they kind of lumped everybody into this one label and left out certain things. And I'm here to okay. One second. I don't know what's going on, but I will find out. I don't know why that. What's going on with this slide here? An identifying card. Oh, was I supposed to put something there? I probably was. Okay, let's just delete this card for now. Probably was supposed to put something there, and I didn't. Alright, it's all good. Let's go back to the lessons. Let's go back to the lessons. Alright, cool. The three regions were connected through powerful trade networks crossing the Sahara. Each group played a distinct role in this three-way interaction. Alright. The Berbers, desert traders and intermediaries across the Sahara. The Arabs, cultural and religious influences spreading Islam via trade and scholarship. We'll talk about that in a second, because much of Islam being integrated and spread through West Africa was not much of Islam when it came to the sub-Saharan region was not spread via violence, but it was spread via trade. It was spread via trade. I'm going to keep on going. Unless, okay, cool. YouTube was wigging out for a second. Cultural and religious influences spreading Islam via trade and scholarship. That part is true. West Africans, economic powerhouses controlling gold supply and regional governance. So, there is no strong historical evidence that West African empires politically controlled North African or Europe. However, they did have an influence that was primarily economic and regional. What we don't understand is that the West Africans were rich in two things that they controlled. One being gold and two being salt. This history has to be established. Now, and I feel like I should stop here, and we should, but I'm gonna keep on going. And when I come back, I'm gonna finish from this point. But let's get into this. The Ghana Empire, Ouagadougou. Before Mali, the dominant West African power was the Ghana Empire, known to its own Soninke people as Ouagadougou. Ghana was a title. Ghana meant war king. It wasn't the land's name. It meant war king. Flourishing from 700s to 1200 CE. It spanned parts of modern Mauritania, Mali, and Senegal. Its capital, Kumbi Sela, was a dual city, a royal Soninke center alongside a Muslim merchant quarter, reflecting coexistence of indigenous and Islamic systems. Ruler Tunka Manin, documented by Arab scholar al-Bakri in the 11th century, presided over a wealthy, highly organized court. So their power source was the control of gold and salt trade routes. Legacy created conditions for the rise of Mali under Sundiata Keita. Quite a name. Let's keep going. The Mali Empire and the rise of Gao. Founded in 1235. So let's just take the dates right now, which is earlier than 1492. Right? And we know 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So that's how most of us remember that date. But here it is important because anything before that, we were not really told what was happening in this area, in this region of West Africa. We're always told what happens in Greece and what happened in Rome and even what happened in Northern Africa. But nobody, it seems like when it gets to West Africa, everybody forgets everything. Nobody says too much. Founded in 1235 by Sundiata Keita, Mali conquered Ghana's remnants and secured the gold fields of Bambuk and Buri. Under Mansa Musa, 1312 to 1337, it became one of the medieval world's wealthiest empires, stretching from the Atlantic to the Hausa lands, with Timbuktu and Djinni as centers of Islamic scholarship. trying to decide if I want to. There was a couple of African scholars who did put in exhibitions to cross the Atlantic River. Some were I'm going to say some were successful due to some of the research that I've done, and then some set out and was never heard from again. Way before 1492, way before. But also we have to acknowledge that the Vikings have records of going to North America as well. I say that because I feel like the African American is always looking for loopholes to associate himself with someone. I mean, you could do a DNA test. Shit is like $100, Lord. Your fucking sneakers and your whole outfit costs way more than that. You understand? You go out to dinner tonight, there's a couple of friends that may be more than that. I go to the fucking Roof Chris with just me, my daughter, and my wife, and the bill is $350. So you could easily get a map of your genetics, and they'll tell you where most of you from. I've done this in well over 50% of my lineage is from West Africa. Well over. So when I see people trying to take advantage of loopholes, saying, yo, you was already here, this is our land, it sounds preposterous to me, because I know you didn't do the knowledge. But it's also disrespectful for the people that did pass in the transatlantic slave trade. And that is more, and I think I will stop, because what we're going to get into is the slavery system. And I won't take up too much time, so we'll call this part 1. But I think tonight, it's Friday, I'll take my family out to eat, and I'll come back. Is today Friday? It gotta be Friday. I'm gonna come back, and then we'll get into, I'll name this title, I'll title something, we'll get into the specifics of slavery during this time. And what you may learn will probably knock your socks off. And not just the fact that it was blacks slaving blacks. You know that part already. But there's way more to this paradox of 1492 that you don't understand. So I'm going to read probably 2 more cards, but we're going to come back to this card tonight. No, I don't think you did, Uncle Andy. I don't think you did. Around 1325, Malinian forces conquered Gao, an ancient Niger River trading hub ruled by the Songhai-speaking Za dynasty. Gao was incorporated as a key eastern province, paying tribute for roughly a century. After Mansa Musa's death in 1337, weak successes, Tuareg seizures of Timbuktu 1431, and regional rebellions shrank Mali dramatically by the mid 15th century. Alright, let's just stop here. You understand? Because I got to go pick up the youth anyway from school and all that. And this is just a perfect place to stop, to be honest with you. Because this is the same place when I come back, we will come back to it. And I'm going to try to tweak this for Instagram. I don't know what's going on Instagram. Yeah, okay, that's good. They got it. Okay. I just got to fix one little thing at the bottom on Instagram. Cool. Cool beans. So, let me just say this before I get up out of here. The purpose of this is not to cause more dissension between us, but we must know the history, because we're talking a lot of us have aggression for places that we come from originally, and we're repeating things that are not necessarily true, right? So anybody is invited to my course, because I'm coming with facts, and if all you're coming to is emotions, obviously you would play yourself. So first go and study. Good luck with that, because I have not been sitting around sitting on my hands. I've been in the books. So it may look to you like, oh, this nigga's just out here doing music and bullshitting on Instagram. Wrong. Facts, Uncle Andy. Facts. Uncle Andy writes, we must know the true history and not to rewrite blasphemy. Facts. I don't care who is aligned with, whether we look up to that person or not. If they didn't tell us the whole truth, they didn't tell us the whole truth. Now, when I come back and do the show, we're going to go right into the lesson. No rhetoric, no none of that. Because we got a lot of ground to cover. Who could be slaves and who couldn't be slaves? That's what we must find out when we come back. Who could be slaves, who couldn't be slaves? We're going to find out if you was a Moor. And furthermore, no pun intended, Moor was a European label. This is why I say don't start in the middle of shit. When you start in the middle of shit get funny real fast. You gotta start at the beginning, right? You either build or destroy. I'm here to destroy so that we can build. You either build or destroy. I'm here to destroy so that we can build. Destroy all of that rhetoric. Knock that shit to the ground. I'll give you the history. You can look it up yourself before you get infuriated. Your cognitive dissonance will set in, and you will be infuriated with me. However, you can only take that but so far, because I'm going to give you the knowledge that goes along with that, and then you're going to say, well, I never heard of that before. And I'm going to say, obviously. And then you're going to go off and do the knowledge and come back like, oh, shit, son was right. Obviously. That being said, let me get up out of here and go pick up the youth, though, all right? Peace out.